reportedly, Dan Gilbert tried to trade for Paul George. Okay, good. Dan Gilbert nearly traded for Paul George and Eric Bledsoe. Good. These are good things. However, in the trade, they were going to give up Kyrie Irving.
I am the epic fail.
Not good. No. Not good to trade away Kyrie to get Paul George. That doesn't make you better. But then Dan Gilbert also went to LeBron with this trade on the table and said, can we get a guarantee that you're going to stay? Okay, that's a start. And LeBron said, no.
I am the epic fail.
So you have this kind of swinging emotional pendulum for Cavs fans. Number one, team wants to improve. That's a good thing. Team wants to keep LeBron James. Good thing. Team looking at all options. Good thing. However, LeBron has said, no guarantees I stay. Bad thing. They're looking about trading Kyrie Irving. Bad thing. And you have Dan Gilbert running personnel. Really, really, really bad thing.
You are a machine of death.
I mean, would you trust Dan Gilbert to make trades? Would you trust Dan Gilbert to build the roster? Would you trust Dan Gilbert to do what's right by the team? Personnel-wise? No. Not at all. Not in a million years. This is Dan Gilbert's problem. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. Dan Gilbert might be a fine guy. Seems like he cares about the community. Seems like he cares about Cleveland. Seems like he cares about the fans. Seems like he feels like a fan. Those are all good qualities as an owner. You want to be empathetic or sympathetic to your fan base, to your customers. That's very cool. What's bad is that Dan Gilbert doesn't know what he doesn't know. He thinks he knows basketball. And he doesn't. He thinks he knows roster building. He does not. This is why he has given the heave-ho to every general manager that has ever worked for him. You realize he's owned the Cavaliers for more than 12 years, and no GM has ever had an extension past his original contract? I mean, David Griffin, yes, it's mostly LeBron, but David Griffin just built a team that went to 3 straight NBA Finals. Sorry, we don't see eye to eye. You're out of here. This is Dan Gilbert's problem. He needs to know, I don't know basketball. I don't know roster building. I don't know personnel. I give that to somebody else, and I respect them, and I trust them. Dan Gilbert, what he did was he fired David Griffin and said, I could do this. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll bring in Chauncey Billups, and yes, maybe this is the most important part of the calendar for roster building. You know, the draft and free agency, but, I mean, I could do this. Thank God this trade didn't go through. I mean, because at least Kyrie is sewn up for you past next summer when LeBron might opt out and leave. Could you imagine Dan Gilbert making a trade for Paul George saying, I'm not signing an extension. I'm a 1-year rental. Bringing him in, them being exactly the same, because if you lose Kyrie but bring in Paul George, it doesn't make you much better. It might not make you better at all. If it makes you better, it's marginally because of Paul George's defense. Them losing in the NBA Finals again, and then everybody leaving, and you don't even have Kyrie there. Maybe being worse than you were this year, and everybody leaving. I wouldn't trust Dan Gilbert. I wish Dan Gilbert would trust other people. But this is his problem. Doesn't know what he doesn't know. And you know what? Clevelanders got all over me for suggesting this is a potential nightmare, that Jimmy Butler wanted to go to Cleveland and that he started texting the guys of the Cavs and they said, not right now, man, too volatile. Cavs fans undressed me on social media for days for this suggestion. Well, this might be the reason that Kyrie or LeBron or whoever else told Jimmy Butler, hey, man, it's a little too volatile right now. Don't come here. Because they knew Dan Gilbert was the GM right now. Hey, don't do anything right now. Let's just pray, cross our fingers. Let's get through these choppy waters. Don't let Dan Gilbert make any major moves. And then once we have a real GM in place, hopefully it's Chauncey Billups or somebody else, then, okay, it'll be stabilized. But this might be the reason. They might have been like, yeah, okay, Jimmy, just hang on there for a second because, like, Dan Gilbert thinks he's building this roster and he's, like, willing to trade everybody. And we don't know what's going on right now, so, like, hang tight. I think that absolutely could be exactly what's happening.